All right, so we're going to now be joined by Seth Mazibuko, as I mentioned earlier, just before that package, perhaps to just unpack further what, the class of 1976 incurred, but we're questioning whether this is a dream deferred, and really what are the realities 31 years into our own democracy. Seth, good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for your time at this hour. I know it's not easy, obviously, going down memory lane, and yourself, looking at the power of memory, what we choose to remember and what we choose to forget. I mean, you've got your own vivid memories about what transpired on the 16th of June, the emotions that also come to the fore. But even if we look at the unsung heroes and heroines that have been forgotten, I mean, it's been part of your life's work to name them, to honor them. Tell us what's going through your mind as we reflect and also imagine the way forward.
Maybe one must start by having to say, when some of these reflections, are made, or when you are then asked to come and speak or to come and say, how do we protect, preserve, and promote the history of 1976? It's a big one.
Yes.
Because the hugeness of remembering those who are unsung heroes and heroines, particularly as we are entering into the 50th anniversary. The 50th, all these lives come back, all these pains come back. And some of those that actually re-emerge, they come in big, I'm feeling when we're there, just spoke about how June 16 should not be seen as just youth. They were mothers. I love when I speak to our young people in the SMF, I say there was a time when right at the corner of Moema and Vilagazi, where there was a first confrontation, an old lady across, when the police were real on us, myself, Tsietsi, Mefi, and the rest, that old lady passed on just recently. All the time she would say to me, Seth, where's my dress? Mama, I gave you my dress to protect you in 1976. Now, that spirit alone of not just being the spirit, we only hear the Seth Mazibukos,
Sure.
But there are grandmothers, there are people who fed us, and we ask ourselves as Seth Mazibuko Foundation that how do we get these names? How do we get these people?
Let's dive into that a little bit further, Seth. Thank you for those opening remarks. We're going to continue that conversation now. It's just gone 1 o'clock in the second hour of the show. You're watching The Week Ahead. Let's recap those headlines and then we'll continue with our chat. All right, so on the back of that now, we're looking at the second group of SANDF troops expected to arrive at the Waterkloof Air Force Base from the DRC today. They have been deployed to Goma in the eastern DRC as part of a SADC peacekeeping mission. The first group of 249 soldiers of the SANDF members who were deployed in the eastern DRC arrived on Friday from Tanzania. Other headlines, a helicopter carrying 7 people crashed this morning in the northern Indian state of Uttarakhand. Officials said that there is no possibility of anyone surviving that crash, but the aircraft went missing in the Garakund area of that state. And so just proved to be too strong for the Bulls after comfortably beating them by a score margin of 32-7 to clinch that URC trophy in Dublin last night. This victory ensured that Leinster ends their 4-year trophy drought. All right, on the back of those headlines, let's continue with our earlier chat. Of course, we're just shining a spotlight on Youth Day, Youth Month commemorations as well, but also the unsung heroes of June 16th, 1976, the people who marched, resisted, paid the ultimate price, but whose names remain unknown to many. Seth Mazibuko joins us in studio, and we continue with our conversation. Seth, we were watching that package and just reflecting almost 50 years, on what's transpired, because the questions about why their names were omitted, comes to the fore. What are some of those names that, were unearthed, some of the contributions as well that they would have had? And even if we're looking at the power of collective memory, what does remembering and saying their names do for us as a nation, as a society at large?
The other problem is that sometimes when we reflect on June 16, we only reflect on the day, June 16. Sure. There were souls that parted well before the day 16. there were souls. One of the people that immediately comes into my mind, we have a group now of young people that have put together to unravel some of these stories. And June 16 was just but the day in which there was that spark.
Sure.
But let me tell you, we as SMF, for that matter, we have even come up with what we call now the spiral model that tells us that very night of June 16, fires were at Alexander, East Rand then, and right up to, we even forget that there were also, within the African context now of the spiral, June 16 was declared by OAU as the Day of the African Child, untold story. And there were also the old ladies I'm talking about, the Katis and Gondos, who are teachers. You have some people who are totally silenced, even by our current government.
Yeah.
And it worries me because even when you go and the only time when you have a famous day, it's Sarafina. Really, can we reduce June 16, the lives of our people, into Sarafina and think that now by that we're appeasing our people? We have taken a deliberate research to say all these places, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, including KZ and University of Ngoyi, we want to take out these stories.
Yes.
We are not only going to be taking out those stories that way. We have also said, do you know that even the necklacing that happened in the East Rand was a woman? First case. It was a woman that was necklaced when we first started. Have we ever tried to go back and see what do we do there?
Yeah.
Are we telling those stories, or we are distorting them? Now, to me, it is very, very. I'm also thinking also, even, men and women of clergy. I'm thinking Dr. Manas Buthelezi.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Helen Kuzwayo. Those were the women who are really have their stories to be told.
Yes.
And there are some teachers also who has got those stories to be told. And
Seth, that even beyond it aligning with the Day of the African Child, I was just recapping on the African Union's theme for this year, for 2025. It is about justice for Africans in the diaspora through reparations. Yes. What we also choose to remember, what we choose to acknowledge as well. There's that national dialogue that's also loading. People questioning whether, that's enough. What implementation follows after that as well?
One thing that we are going to be doing, and we have started already with many of those who are identifying with the cause, that next year we are going to have 50 unsung heroes and heroines.
Great.
1, 2, have untold stories and unsung heroes. We are going to be saying to young people also at that time, we are going to be finishing off the march, by the way. It ended in the corner of Mwema and Vilakazi Street. We are saying to children, our children now, we are going to walk with you now to go and gather stones so that we can build South Africa and tell the stories. 4th of August is one other story where young people were killed. We are also looking at reconciliation. Black people have not reconciled with themselves. And what has happened is that now we're going to be coming up, by the way, with a wall of reconciliation.
Okay.
Where even hostel dwellers, in those, remember the violence then, we are going to have to start talking each other. It cannot just be that we are going to be peace and reconciliation and think we are... No.
Well, for namesake, obviously, there's deep work, it's nuanced, it's layered. Seth, I'm listening to, some of these future projects. You're speaking about that wall of remembrance and reconciliation. You're speaking about unearthing those names, especially as it coincides with 50 years. How do people get involved? How do they support? How do they also come forward with their stories and enable you and your team as well to continue with this work?
We definitely appreciate that. I think one of you guys will get our numbers and all that. And we are also working with 8 schools that were in 1976 leading schools. Some of the old people that were talking and were in the school board and all that, we're working with them. So we're looking forward to really get our history in perspective and also get those unsung heroes and heroines brought to the fore, and then correcting also the history of June 16, 1976.
When you speak to the families and perhaps those who've passed, those who are also alive, I mean, what does justice look like for them 31 years later into our democracy, perhaps now 49 years, obviously?
I think that is why we decided to focus on that, because these are the voices that at the end of the day are not being heard.
Yeah, well, Seth Mazibuko, thank you for your time. Thank you for the work. I know that it continues, but we'll leave our conversation there for now. Seth Mazibuko Foundation, really just going to be honoring some of the unsung heroes of June 16th, 1976. So we're going to be looking at, who has been forgotten. But as we also traverse what the future looks like, how we can use them and their examples and their contributions to continue to solidify South Africa and what that also means for our country at large, for social cohesion, nation building and healing. Again, thank you to him for joining us at this hour.